What's up, there fish fans? It's Lordfish here, and I'll be your host of this making basic melee weapons. Probably just a single part, but we'll see what happens. We'll go ahead and we'll delete that. We will delete this. Those are used for making animations, and I'm not going to cover that today. You can keep them if you plan to make an animation in Blender with it. And I will go ahead and get started making some basic melee weapons. We're gonna have to size things first. If you know me, we always do this. I do it for Unreal. You may use a different gaming engine where you don't have to size things. You may use a program that imports things and you don't have to size things. So you do what you gotta do. I'm gonna size these things for Unreal Engine, and I'm actually using Unreal Engine 5 now, and it's been a lot of fun. Things are a lot easier. I have tried Unity. I had a lot of issues with it, including it causing just random issues on my computer. I don't know if anybody else has the same experience or if you guys enjoy Unity. Feel free to comment below if you like and tell me what you think. Alright, so we'll go to edges, we'll grab this edge, We're just first left click, shift left click after that to grab the rest, just holding shift. So we got those 4 edges. We're going to control, of course we're in edit mode, control B, going to add a little divot in the corner, and then we're going to go over to bevel, and we'll just add a couple little edges to it just to make it a little nicer to start with. We'll go out of edit mode by hitting tab, shrink things down. You know what, let's duplicate this before we do that, because that's going to make things a little easier for us, as you probably remember from my other videos. I like to duplicate and try and save some work where we can. So we will grab both of them and kind of size them together a bit. There we go. Just do one of those for now. So grab the bottom one, and we'll duplicate it again, and we'll move it up into the middle-ish. Shrink a little bit. Let's use S actually. Let's use X to scale down a little bit, and then we'll move it a little more in the middle this way, where it's a little skinnier and a little different than the other one, because those are basically going to be a hilt on our weapon. So let's just move our handle up. It could be set into the bottom handle a little bit if you want, but I'm just going to get close to the edge. Grab this one, I'll drag it up a bit, give us a nice decent size handle. Maybe we'll make this top one a little bit longer like a sword would be. And yeah, that's good for now. So we got a handle. Like we said, we're making basic melee weapons, so we'll start with a couple easy things, and you're gonna have to be patient with me because I've not made these before. It's my first time too, but we can learn together. So I've made a square, and this may not work out, but we'll see what happens. Let's see what happens, guys. Let's do this together. Alright, let's do one of those. Alright. Now, how are we gonna make a point, you're probably thinking. We'll just grab this and go over here to faces. In edit mode by hitting tab, we'll grab this face. Let's use the hand to get yourself in a position. You can make sure it's going straight up and down. It looks like it is, because it was on the blue axis, which is X. So we just stretch that out a little bit with E. So we just E to let it come out a little bit. Now we'll just shrink this one, giving us a point. Now we have a basic sword, a basic melee weapon. Now you might want to add a little bit more detail, of course, and I totally understand that. But let's just help you get started with the detail. We won't get too much into it, but let's Control R here. I don't know what I just did. I'm gonna back up. Let's undo that. I must have hit the wrong button there. You do Control R. There we go. You'll see the line along the middle. So it's just going to put a line all the way along the middle, and it's going to help us adjust this a little bit. That way, we can grab this edge by going to faces. And hopefully, we can shrink them while leaving it a little wider in the middle. And now we're looking like a sword pretty much, right? You probably want to add a bit more detail to your sword, and I get that. But right now, we're just going to do some basic ones, and I'll let you detail your own swords. Here, I'll give you this one last trick, too. Go to this handle. We'll go to edit mode. I'm going to grab this face. I'm going to grab this face. And we'll just shrink them a little bit. Oops. Like so. Like so. Now, it just looks a little nicer. You can use bevels, you can do whatever you need to do. I'm going to do one last thing before you're done with your weapon. You're going to want it to be one piece. So we're going to go out of edit mode. We're going to click this top one, this one, this one. Actually, let's click off this one, this one, this one, this one. We're going to make the control point the handle because you're probably going to want to set it up that way for your mannequin where he can grab it by the handle. So by choosing the handle last, it's going to make it the last piece. We're going to Control J, and we've joined it. There's our sword. Now again, I haven't really planned this out, so we're just kind of freestyling things. So maybe we will make... I wonder how hard a shield would be to make, huh? Or an axe, I don't know. Let's go. Let's make a shape first, I guess. I guess we'll make a shield. I don't know. I've never tried to make one of these either, so shouldn't be too hard, you would think, or we would think, right? Let's find out. With Blender, everything's limited to your imagination. I'm just going to stretch this out a little bit. You're going to do the same as use your sword as perspective to try to get a decent size on the shield as well, and when you import them together, you should be able to size them pretty much together, right? But this stuff, all this Blender stuff's a matter of perception and imagination. A lot of these things you can use in different ways even I haven't thought of. I always just kind of change my own shapes to make what I want out of squares and circles, but there's a lot of other options. There's modeling tools, there's sculpting tools. If you really, really want to get things detailed, those are the things you're going to want to use. But we're just going to go back to layout. Alright. We gotta make this look more like a shield. Just looks like a square right now, and that ain't right? So first off, let's go to edit mode by hitting tab. We'll hit this lower edge, hit E, and it should extract straight down. You'll see it on the blue line. That's great. And then we'll shrink sideways. Okay, that's giving us more of a shape of a shield. Maybe we will put a line down the middle, and then just right click it to make it exactly center. Alright, and we'll grab this, we'll switch back to faces, grab this face, and grab this face, and grab our arrows, and hopefully it gives us a little curve, a nice even curve, and we're getting our shield look. Now maybe you want to do a banner on the front or something like that. what you'll need to do is grab all the faces, hit I. When it gets down to about the shape you want, you're going to just leave it like that. If you just like that shape better for your shield, that's great. But then we can just highlight the center when we're coloring it and give it a different color, and then we should be able to add another color to it. And I hope this stuff's really helping out for you guys. I don't really know. I'm not getting a whole lot of comments on here. I'm getting lots on Discord asking me to make things, but not a whole lot of people saying things on here saying, Lordfish, I could really use some help making one of these. Okay, I'm gonna undo that. I messed up there. Could really use some help making one of these, Lord. Could you help me? Just say what you need, guys, what you're having troubles with, and we'll figure it out together. We could do, too, is thin this edge on this shield if we want it to kind of be tapered like the sword. But I like the look of it like that, so I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to Shift A, and we're going to make another square. Let's bump it back, because we're going to use it for a handle on the inside of the shield. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do the handles. I'm sure you guys know. You've probably seen medieval shields. We could put it in the middle. We could put one on either side so your arm kind of passes through it. There's a lot of different ways we could do it, but we're just going to do a straight up and down handle for this. You take your handle and you change it to whatever shape you want. Just pause the video for I don't get ahead of you. We're going to make the whole size of the shape that we're going to want. This is what we want, basically. Something like that. Maybe a little bigger. We can change it after, too, though. Now we're going to taper some of these edges. I think taper's the right word for it. So we're going to tab, and we are going to go into edge mode. I'm just going to grab these two edges. Without that one, sorry. I must have hit Control there. So I'm just going to start over that one. And then Shift, left click this one. And then Control B. And you see, we now have a little taper on the edge. That's pretty much what I wanted. So, out of tab mode, we'll grab that, we'll Control D. Make it fatter. And then we'll shrink it down because it's gonna punch a hole for us. And make sure that it's gonna come all the way through the front like that. And that's the shape of the handle that your one is what's gonna be left over. So you can move it around, size it better to whatever you're after. This is what I'm after. So I'll left click this one. I'll Shift left click the second one. We'll go up to Object. We'll go down to Bool. And we'll go to Difference. Because there's nothing taken out of this. It should just easily bool. So once you're on your 5th or 6th bool, you start running into issues. So make sure you don't attach anything before you bool things. If you wanted to put an edge or something like that. So that's what I want for my handle. If you need to, you can go over here. You can change the angle of yours to, what, 90 degrees? Oh, that's not right. Let's try this 90. See? Okay, we could have a sideways one. I could duplicate it, and we can have two parts of the handle. You gotta do you. Do whatever makes you feel good and whatever you think is right. Because in the end, you gotta be happy with it, not me, right? I'm just gonna bump that down a little bit. I like it right about there. It's not popping through the front. Make sure it looks good on both sides. Click off of it. Alright. So we'll Control J to attach those two, and we have made our shield. Congratulations. Next up, again, I've never made it, but we'll try to see if we can make a bow and arrow. And yeah, I've never made one, so I apologize. I pre-apologize in case it's bad. Let's try it though. Shift A. We're going to start off with a different shape this time. We're going to use a cylinder. Let's up this a little bit. Let's do a 90. Looking good. Alright, now how are we going to do this? Let's make this one super thin. Then let's size it up a little bit so we can make sure we know what we're doing here. Alright, we'll make a square. And again, this is my first time, so try to be patient with me. And hopefully either way it'll give you the right idea and you'll be able to make yours. So I'm going to just take this and spread it across what part I don't want. So I'll make it a little bigger than I think I'm going to want to get rid of, and then I'll just bump it back to where I think it's going to be okay. We'll see if that's a good angle for it. It looks like a good angle for it. It looks like a decent bow. If you'd like to go back a little farther, you do what you got to do to make it what you want. Everybody's got a different image in their heads when they think of this stuff. Oh my, what did I just do? There we go. Sorry about that. Delete global, that's what I did. Okay, let's do difference. Alright, and we have our half bow. You're thinking, that doesn't look like a bow, Mr. Fish. Not yet, it doesn't. We're getting there, we're getting there. So we'll shift D again. I am lazy, so I'm just going to make this one fatter. And then we are going to hit S to scale it down until we get around the bow shape we want. Do we want it to be a thin bow? Do we want it to be a thick bow? Let's go for that. So we're going to click the inner one with left click, then shift click the second one. Objective, bool, difference. That is not what I meant to do. I didn't mean to have that back one. Although you're probably thinking, well, it works. It looks like a string. It's way, way too thick. And we want to add that separate for a reason. So let's just go undo. And make this a bit thick. A bit thicker on just the one. And then we'll bump it back to make sure we're through that back edge and we don't leave that little face there. Side view, kind of have a look around, make sure it looks all good again. Highlight the second one, bool tool, difference. This time no edge back there. And again, there's a reason for this. We're going to go to this one, to scale it up a bit. Try to find what looks right to you. Why is that turning? Anyways, try to find what looks right to you. Oh, probably because we're on our 90? Let's try this. There we go. Alright, and there we go. That's the shape I wanted, pretty much, for a bow. Let's check the width. Pretty good, I think. I think it's about the same as the sword handle-ish. Can move it over there if you want to be right perfect. Alright, and we'll change the arrow, so we'll push Shift A, we'll make another square. And this square is in a pretty good spot, as you can see. So we'll stretch it out, and then we'll S, shrink it down and shrink it down. And then we'll stretch it out and we'll shrink it down. And the reason we're doing this, we're shrinking the whole thing to try to get it a certain size. You might want to use, yeah, you know what? This doesn't make sense. What am I doing? Let's use a cylinder for this. I'm so sorry. It just makes more sense. I'm so used to using squares. I use squares for everything, but if we're making a string, I think we should probably just use a circle. I was even gonna round it after, but then I'm like, okay, well that's a cube, so, or not a cube, a circle. So let's just use one. And then you're just gonna want to find the right thickness of your bow. How thick do you want your string to be? What do you want it to look like? Do you want to be able to see it from far away, or do you want it to be super thin for you can only see it when you're firing an arrow? And there we go. Let's just bump that in a little bit, because it wouldn't be that close to the edge like that, maybe. Again, you're going to have to find your own settings or feeling of how you feel about it. I'm going to reuse this, so let's Shift D that. And we'll add a bit more detail to this for you guys who are making some sort of survival game or whatever. We'll make a square, Shift A, cube. We'll bump it off to one side mostly, and we will shrink it. And we'll move it back a bit. So we're just making a little lip where the arrow is going to sit, basically, in your game. And that way it has like a catch to hold the arrow where you're firing, basically. And most older bows have these, so it's just a little detail you can add. If you don't like it, or if you say, hey, that's not true, well, fine, don't add it. You don't have to. It's completely optional. So we're just going to grab that edge and lead it out here like that. So flip black. Now, since we haven't attached to that bow string, we shouldn't have any issues. So we'll hit this, then that. We'll go up to Object, we'll Bool Tool, and we'll Difference. Alright, we have a little bit more detail. And it should be right in the middle, as long as you followed along with me. We'll grab this one. Okay, where do you want the control point to be? Probably on the bow. So we'll grab the string, then the bow, then Control J. Alright, now we'll grab the arrow. We'll send it on a 9D, not 903. Nope, that's the wrong one. 90, like that. And you get the idea. This is gonna be an arrow. And then you can just duplicate your arrows once you've brought it into the game. Alright, now how are we going to do this? We're probably all thinking, because that's what I'm thinking. But we just do things on the fly and we try things until something works. That's called imagination, and it's something that's kind of being lost these days. People are so afraid of failing that they don't try. When they gotta remember, everybody fails, and that's fine. It's not about how many times you get knocked down, it's about how many times you keep getting back up. Probably wondering where that's from. That's from Rocky. It's a very true saying, because we're going to get knocked down lots in life, but just keep getting up and keep trying, and you're going to do good. Alright, let's see what we can do about this front edge. We'll go into edit mode, go to faces, and we will shrink this down to scalar. Alright, how does that look, guys? Does that look like a feather? Oh, I think it does. Why, I sure do. Or a fin for a fish. So, since I like it, you can change yours, or change the angles, or do whatever you need to do to make it yours. Make it longer, make it, put a square on the end for, it's more like a feather. I'm going to do that. I'm going to shift duplicate it, and I am going to try to find the right angle. And that's not it. To flip it sideways, like that. And it should be perfectly sideways. If not, you can move it around a bit. But I am pretty happy with that. And then I'm going to Shift D that, because that looks pretty good. And for what, you say? Well, for a tip for an arrow. I typed in the same chords, I'm a silly goose. Alright, let's shrink this down. Let's shrink it down to a point this way. And let's bump it back. Let's maybe move around a bit. see if we can see this back edge. Make sure it's just the back edge highlighted. Make it wider a bit. Alright, it looks like we have a stone head for our arrow now, doesn't it? Maybe you want it different, and I totally understand. Maybe you want to put a bevel down the middle. Okay, you know what? Let's do that for you guys, because I'm just amazing, and nope. I just care, so I care so much. Here we go. Gonna move this a bit, right click it, let it drop into the middle for you. And then we'll grab edges, we'll grab that edge, that edge. Oh, you know what? It would have been smarter. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do it too. Let's go to faces instead. Sorry about that. Grab that face. Just try to move around. It's real delicate when it's this small, and we'll just shrink it like that. And now, your arrowhead is beveled in the middle. It should kind of be bigger in the middle. Maybe it's not big enough for you. That's what she said. We will go ahead and what will we do? We'll grab that edge right there, and grab that edge right there, and we will go out. There's your bigger bevel on your edge, making your arrow. Of course, I'm just joking about any female jokes. I really do appreciate women. Lordfishgaming, our president, our programmer, and my personal hero, basically, is a female. And I'm so proud of that fact, of all the things she's done and fished in a town to remember the game, available on Steam, and how kind and how much work she's put into the whole thing has just been amazing. Alright, you know what? I got a little issue here, guys. Right here, it's a little too long for an arrow, I think. Just looking at the whole thing overall, let's shrink it down just a little bit, right? Arrows just aren't that big. Well, our arrow isn't. You guys can keep yours just as big as you want, because it's up to you what you want. Only you can understand your vision. Never let anybody else change that. I'm gonna highlight the back feather, and then the front, and then the middle will be our control point, so we'll highlight that last. We'll push Control J, and we have an arrow. We just need to duplicate it as much times as we want. Here. There you go. So we got a bow, we got a shield, we got arrows. I don't know how long this video's went, but my mouth's getting dry, so I feel like I've been flapping for a while, flapping my old fish gums. So I'll stop this here. Oh, you know what? Let's quickly do a little bit of coloring, because I don't like to leave people hanging. I don't want to make a second video just for coloring, so let's quickly color. So we'll go up here to viewpoint shading. Go down here to material properties. You can hit tab, hit new. We're gonna make a new color. Did we join those? I think we did. Yeah, we did. So I'm just gonna hit A to highlight the whole thing, and I'm gonna choose a yellowy wood color type thing. Alright, there we go. And then I'm going to change the color of certain few things. We're going to choose faces up here. So we're going to push L over the front. We're going to hit plus, new, make it blue, as I always say. So that's going to be steel, right? These are probably going to be a different color, so let's go ahead and make sure we got the whole thing. L, and then on the other one, L. We should have the whole thing now. We'll push plus, then new. We'll get a material, and this time it's not blue. We'll go green for the feathers. Alright, we have our arrow colored. Remember, these aren't permanent colors. You're just assigning a slot to say, hey, this can take colors, which is perfect. That's what we want to do. So grab our sword, we'll drag it over to the middle, make it a little easier to pivot around. We'll hit tab, and there's already a color on it, so let's change the color. We'll make it blue, as I always do. Click off of everything. We'll hit L over one piece. We'll make these two one color. If you want to make them a different color, that only means that you can change it and customize it more. So maybe you want to make each one a different color, and that's fine too. You just have to do this process twice. So I'm going to make this one a yellowy again. And then we just got one more thing to color on the sword. We got to color the handle. So we're going to click off of it, hit L over the handle, plus new. Can't make it blue, so let's make it, we already made things yellow, didn't we? Let's make it red. Tell what my favorite colors are. That looks pretty swordy already, and we haven't even colored it that well. Now again, maybe you want to add extra colors, and that's completely fine as well. These things are customizable, and it has to be up to you what you do, right? No one else will understand your project except for you. Let's grab our bow and drag it over to make it a little easier to work on. We're going to hit tab, hit new. Again, it's a woody color to start off with, assign. We've got to color one other thing. We're going to click L over the bowstring, and we're going to hit plus, new, make it blue. If you're wondering why I rhyme things, it just helps me remember things too. And you might want to pick up the same technique, and you might find it so annoying you don't want to hear it again, and either is fine. That's just what I do. We'll color the shield last. We grabbed it, dragged it over. We'll tab into edit mode. We will hit plus new because there wasn't a color. We'll make it yellowy wood color, assign. Now I'm just going to do the handle back here. Oh, you know what? Let's do this plate up here for you guys. In case you want to make this an image or something, or just even a different color to just give it more customality, or to be able to make multiple out of the same unit, or if you just want it to be cooler for your game. So hit plus, new, and we won't make it blue, we'll make it green, because I'm saving my blue. Now again, it looks like a shield, looks pretty cool. Gonna go back here, click off everything, click over it with L. So we just got that back there. Plus, new, and we will make it blue. And after hearing me say that many times, you'll probably never forget that. It's just my way to remember how to color things, because I actually have dyslexia, so I struggle with memory processes and things like that. Some things can seem to be impossible to remember how to do them right. If you have dyslexia, I'm sure you can relate to that. But anyways, we've got our weapons all tied up together, guys, and you've done a great job. I hope this helps you in your games. I hope this makes making your game a little bit easier. Feel free to subscribe and like my videos. I don't have a Patreon, but I do have a game up on Steam. It's called Lordfishgaming, A Town to Remember, and if you'd like to support me, that would be great if you'd like to try our game. And if you don't, and you just want a thumbs up and subscribe, feel free, and if you don't, that's fine. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment below if you want to see something different in the future. Bye.